So, a bit of a hot topic now. Well, hot enough. It's a warm topic. Well, a few months ago, I remember Elon Musk saying something about how the next step or the solution to the fact that many jobs are being taken over by robots at a faster rate than people can relearn skills, like the solution to that would be universal basic income. And then there are discussions and debates about how that would work and how that wouldn't work and why that's a good idea and why that's a bad idea, comparing it to communism, socialism and benefits and this kind of thing. So I was thinking about it a lot as well, and I came to realize that actually I don't even need to think about it that much, because that's kind of the way I already am living. Like, as a student, I get given a certain amount of money to last for a certain time period, and obviously that's loaned money, so I have to pay that back eventually. But the idea of that is, like, I get given like £8,000. It's not that much, obviously, but so I get given £8,000, and then there's about 9 months or so of term time. It's like 40 weeks actually. So yeah, whatever, 40 weeks on like £7,000 or something. And I thought, yeah, that's kind of like what the principle of basic living wage is. So I'm already living that lifestyle, except in order to earn the money that they're giving me that I have to pay back to earn it, I have to be staying in university. And then the other solution, or the other similarity of something we have existing already, is unemployment benefits, or job seekers allowance, or the dole. Those are just different words for essentially a similar thing. The thing there is, you're first of all given like such a ridiculously low amount of money that it's hard to live on, and the second downside to that is it's costing other people lots of money. The third downside is you have to go in to collect your job seekers allowance. The fourth thing is you have to be a job seeker, as in you actually have to be looking for a job to receive that. So universal living income, universal basic income, is kind of just like you given the money to do with what you like, and you don't have to do all this like fancy go to university or go to the job center. It's just everyone gets that baseline for being born. So the issue is, like, how do you sustain an economy where more people are leeching from this system than they are providing value to it? Because if a person isn't providing value, then they are costing money. Then how does that sustain itself? The simple answer is it can't really sustain itself. But it could potentially do if machine manufacturing and robotics reach a point where they're doing so many of the menial tasks that we do now that you literally don't need people to be adding that value to the economy. So you can literally have an economy of people who are given food for free, or given money to buy food for free, literally because the cost of growing that food is close to free. Now I'll explain how it's close to free, because you think in free food that would solve world hunger and stuff, right? Well, yeah, it basically does. If you have robots, machines, Skynet, woo, AI. You don't even need AI for this. You can do this without AI. Well, without general intelligence AI with just like what's it called, like single purpose closed stupid AI. Basically, you can do this. So imagine your tractor, your combine harvester, your seed dibber, and all of these things. Like, you have a field, you have a tractor that goes around the field and tills the soil, and you have another tractor that goes around dipping in seeds. You have machines that water the plants. You have all of these things would be automated, running on electricity from solar power. So it's kind of like a self-sustaining system, other than the fact that you have to have people building them, you have to have people maintaining them. You need an engineer around, or a mechanic around, or a programmer around to fix the tractor if something goes wrong. If something goes wrong with the water system, you need somebody who is qualified and understands the plumbing situation. You do need these people still, but when everything's going smooth, it's a self-sustaining system. So based on that, if that's how the majority of food gathering gets to be done, by machines that only need a little bit of maintenance, every month or so, come for a checkup, if something goes wrong, you send a guy out to fix it, that cuts food production costs to like fucking zero. Alright, you said to me now, that's how they're grown and they're picked by machines, but how do they get to the plates of people? Well, you guessed it, machines once again. The machines that picks the vegetables, machines that put them into boxes, and machines that travel them around. Have you ever heard of self-driving cars? Now imagine a self-driving van, a self-driving vegetable delivery van that gets the vegetables from the farm, goes on its self-driving delivery route to all the houses that want their fucking potatoes and their carrots, drops them off outside the door, and goes on to the next one. That can be all automated. Every single bit of it can be automated. Except when it goes down, you need people to fix it, but the majority of the cost can be just fucking dropped. So that's how you feed people for free. I call it free with like it's free because it's not. There's still labour involved, there's still monitoring, maintenance and manufacturing involved. But it's essentially a system, a self-sustaining system when it works. And that's what the most important thing is. It cuts down the cost of like having farmers with their tractors, the oil that goes into the tractors, the whole manually operating the machinery, people operating machinery, people building the machinery, fixing the machinery, drilling for oil to run the machinery, people driving the machinery, people going to the farm, filling the lorry up, driving it to the factory, doing all of this kind of like fucking. You cut down on your logistics and your production costs and your shipping costs. Just there you go. That's one problem solved. What else is an issue? Well, every issue can basically be solved by machines, pretty much, is what I'm trying to get at here. So when you're in that lifestyle where it's like, well, machines have taken my job, what do I do for money now? Well, you sit back and let the machines do the work. Now that gets people thinking, I'm just going to be bored out of my head. And that's right, you will be bored out of your head if you don't do anything with your life. You don't need to have a job to make you have purpose in life. You can find that yourself and do that yourself. If you actively choose to sit down and watch television all day, because you can do that now that you're getting paid to just sit around watching television, the food gets delivered to your door, the water and stuff in your taps is free, the electricity is free because it's from the sun. You've got your solar panels charging up the big battery in your house, the battery that if your solar panels broke, your battery would last you for a week until the solar panels got fixed. High efficiency solar panels connected to a grid of other high efficiency solar panels somewhere else, all of it being free because once it's set up the only cost is maintenance. you're in that lifestyle. It doesn't cost you anything to be alive. So you start to feel like you have no purpose and no meaning. And instead of starting to think, well, I could just watch TV all the time, you start to think, well, I could go and help, I could go and do stuff, I could go and be useful. And then when you are useful, you get given rewards for being useful. So you have your basic income, but you can still earn more money on top of that. Like that's how that works. So you get given, like, well, let's say 12, 15, like 16. You don't need more than £16,000 a year to live like on your own in a society where everything's free for you. You don't need that much money at all because everything's being given to you for free. You only need the food, the water and stuff anyway. The only thing that extra money buys you is luxuries. So if you want more luxuries, like, who doesn't want more luxuries? You know, that's what you're thinking. Who doesn't want more luxuries? You know, not everyone's a Buddhist monk able to cast away the desire for material goods. And not everyone is just looking for deeper spiritual purpose. Some people just want a nice new car. Some people just want jewellery. Or just an Xbox. Or whatever the new stuff is. I don't know, I don't play games. I do, but okay. You want all of these fancy things, but your income isn't enough for you to be able to afford that Ferrari that costs $2 million, pounds, euros, whatever. So how do you do that? You just do more work and you get more money. If you don't do work, you don't have to starve, but you just don't get more money. So doing more work to get more money, it's reasonable. It makes sense. I'm not opposed to universal living income because I can see how living like in the lifestyle that I have as a student works, except it doesn't work at the moment because it's just a drain on the economy. Me being given, me being put £42,000 in student debt is not helping the economy. I'll have to pay that back with interest throughout the course of my life when I start earning over 21,000, as if that's ever going to happen. When that point happens, though, I have to start paying like it's either 5 to 10% of my salary towards this company. So at that point, I start putting back into the economy what they've given me. But until then, all I've done is gone £42,000 in debt, spent it on a bunch of things. Like the stuff that I spend it on, you could argue that if I spend some of my money on UK business, it empowers UK business, and 20% of what I buy from these UK businesses is gone to tax. So 20% of the money that they gave me to study goes back straight away as tax because everything I buy has tax on it. So 20% of it, VAT going back to that. But it's not like an endless cycle like that, where if I buy a cheeseburger, that money is going to McDonald's, and McDonald's is not a British company. And the other point, the circle is closed. It's like what you're expecting is a perpetual motion machine. If somewhere along the cycle there's a way for energy to be lost, as there always is, or a way for money to creep out of the cycle, there is a way for it to creep out. So therefore, the cyclical nature of this loop ends there. So it's not self-sustaining. But that's just because, like I said, we don't have machines doing literally everything. Once machines are doing literally everything, then yeah, I think that you can switch over to a universal basic income, but not yet. We need to wait until there are enough qualified people who understand robotics, enough people who build robotics, and people who are living like that. The only reason why it doesn't make sense to do it now is because it would just be a huge initiative of resources being dumped into it before we have machines that are efficient and good enough to do it. Like, you could literally do it tomorrow if you started building the robots tomorrow, but they wouldn't be as good as robots that we can build in 10 years' time, for example. And currently, the population, like, only 2 generations of the population are really that invested and understanding and in the loop with technology. So yeah, anyone who hasn't been, everyone from the 90s onwards was born with internet as being a thing throughout the entirety of their life. And there are people who were born before that who are still alive, and there are some people who have never been on the internet. Some people don't have computers. So like I say, at the moment the whole universal basic wage wouldn't work. There are people whose jobs and people whose life depend on systems that don't even include computers and machinery. So how do they fit, and how do they work? Simply, it doesn't. There are some jobs that are irreplaceable, but the majority of them will be replaced, and the majority of people who have the jobs that can't be replaced, they're older people. So essentially what I'm trying to say is, we just need to wait for some more people to die first. Like, that's a grim way of looking at it, but there are people who are just too old to be retrained, and there are lots of those people who are just too old to be retrained. But if you start giving them free money, then they become just too much of a drain of resources. I'm not saying that their life is worthless. I'm saying that you can't sustain you can't sustain the system with that many. Fucking hell, my phone. You can't sustain that system with so many people. So you just need to wait for them to die off a little bit, and then make it get to a point where everybody is qualified. Or wait till we have the machines that are doing this, and more people are trained in the jobs that are relevant to assist with machines, and then you're ready for it. But not now, not for a while. But when it gets to it, then yeah, of course, it's a good system, you know. You can still earn money, more money, so don't worry about that. If you're worried about that, and it's not communism, because you can still earn more than someone else, which is what you can't do, particularly in communism. So yeah, universal income, basic living wage, turning humans into just pets. Oh yeah, that's another video I was going to make, where I'm going to talk about how AI are going to turn human beings into pets, or superhumans are going to turn current humans like we are into pets. Similarly to how we have cats and dogs as house pets, humans will become house pets to the next evolutionary step of humans. So you have super smart humans or super smart AI, and human beings will become pets to them. So at the point where we become pets, like, I'd say being on universal living income is kind of like being a pet, right? You know, someone else is giving you food, they put the food in your bowl, like they drive the delivery truck, drop the food off at your house, you eat your food, you know, you want to go on a walk, and all of this, you get a treat every now and again. The universal basic income is like being a pet, so I'm looking forward to being a pet. How cool would that be? Obviously, you lose out on a lot of your freedoms, but you get to go on a walk every so often. Walkies, ooh, walkies.